So apparently the prison set on Andor was so claustrophobic that Andy Serkis said it messed with his head during the filming. I think that this just goes to show the dedication of the guy that brought us the Smeagol and Gollum scene that has gone down to become one of the most iconic in the history of film with that whole back and forth. Nobody loves you. Just amazing sequence where it's like they're talking to each other in a mirror with the split personality. Um, I think Andy Serkis is the perfect example of an actor who knows how to get into the head of a character. This is a brilliant read through on what he has gotten to do on this show as the shift manager, so to speak. We're going to be going through this morning. If you haven't already done so, you don't know who I am. I'm Tim Anderson, aka Renfield, the bearded dwarven princess. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so that you can continue to get more updates like this. I am, of course, watching and reviewing each episode of Star Wars Andor, as long as other Star Wars shows, House of the Dragon, the upcoming Willow show, Rings of Power, a whole bunch of other stuff. So hopefully you're along for the ride. In the meantime, let's kind of dive into this a little bit more because it's a fascinating look into what has become, in my mind, one of the better Star Wars shows on Disney Plus. Not the least of which is the fact that they got actors like Andy Serkis to come along. Diego Luna is doing a fantastic job as Cassian Andor. But when I saw, or I didn't even see him at first. It was literally I was watching the episode where his character's introduced, and I heard the voice of the floor manager introducing, 7 men per table, 7 tables per room, and all this. And I'm like, that sounds like Andy Serkis. And then the face appeared. I was like, oh my god, they got Andy Serkis to do this. Which I was already hyped and loving Andor, and then it transported into another realm, and now it's gone into prestige television territory in my mind. And I love the fact that they, are doing a limited series here where we've got seasons 1 and 2, and then Rogue One the film. So it's a very limited run, but we're getting a very tight storyline as a result of that, and the tight storytelling is being shown off in episodes like this. So let's just dive into this a little bit more because it's a fascinating look into what they're doing. By the way, if you haven't watched my review of the most recent episode, which was episode 9, it is one of the darkest episodes of Star Wars I have ever seen. I think it's even darker than Obi-Wan Kenobi, chopping Anakin Skywalker in half and leaving him to burn, you know, on the lava shores. You know, you are my brother. It's just this episode where um, we deal with the torture using the screams of dying children as the sound that's being used for the torture device, and the way they euthanize the old man at the prison factory. Ah, fascinating stuff. So, in an interview with Collider's Steve Weintraub here, actor Andy Serkis, who plays a Narkina 5 inmate and machine shop supervisor Kino Loy, said that everything on set, from the costumes to the set design, helped immerse the actors in the environment. So much so that they began to feel the psychological effects. This is brilliant. He said it was extraordinary and very daunting. Look, we were walking on metal plates for weeks with bare feet, and that sapped your energy. Also, the costume design, the prison outfits, they're formed in such a way that takes away any sense of your own identity. So, everything that was done to create that world really worked on you psychologically. And that's something that I think is really amazing from being able to put the actors into the location and help them get the most out of the performance. Not all actors do this, and it's really hard to do when you're filming on green screen. Now, I think that the Disney Plus shows have done a lot with the program that they're using with Unreal 5 and their, what is it called? The volume, I think. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but the program that they're using where it's not really a green screen because they have the 3D sets, but it's still, there's something to be said for physical sets where you said you've got the bare metal under your feet and you're there for weeks on end and you're feeling cold and isolated and there's no identity and you're just this, it really gets you in. I think that's one of the reasons I've always appreciated Ridley Scott films, because Ridley Scott does these epic sets every time he does a film, which are, they required a huge amount of money. The budgets are ridiculous for the set design, but it does pay off in spades when you can put the actor in that scene and get the actual reaction from the actors because they're terrified. This also goes back to um, Tom Cruise doing all his own stunts and him saying that, one of the reasons he likes to do his own stunts is because he's like, you're never going to get a more genuine performance than when you are doing the things that the character would be doing and it's not being faked. Like you are there and you are feeling the rush of adrenaline and the panic, and you're still trying to perform under those conditions. And that is, I mean, it might be a little crazy in the pursuit of your craft, but I also think that it pays off in terms of performance. Serkis said the whole immersion came down to more than just the costumes or the set. He said the intense choreography required for the machine shop, as well as the stark nature of the shop itself and the tunnels that they pass through on the way back and forth to the chambers where they sleep, he says, all played a role in making him feel like he was genuinely a cog in the machine. He elaborated by saying the machine parts, the process of creating the pieces that are being put together by the whole team, that had to be thoroughly worked out. The actual design worked really well with the choreography, everything about it. There was no sense of individuality. That really plays with your mind and with your head when you're working on a set like that day in and day out. So it has the desired effect. He said the main shop floor is just incredible. These long tubes, entry and exit gates that you go past every day. He says it really makes you feel like being trapped in these test tubes, which kind of wears you down, mentally, because there's no private space. And he says, as an actor, you normally find your little bit on the sets where you can go and sit in between takes or whatever. But here you had to stand because there wasn't enough room. You really did feel like you were incarcerated in some strange, weird place, which I think is fascinating. From If you haven't watched Squid Game, I've heard that they had similar experiences on some of the sets for Squid Game because they had all the actors confined in these small spaces, which contributed to them feeling as if they were really being put through those paces. Now, obviously, we know that everything that's portrayed on a show is obviously fake. It's these are actors who are performing the part. They are pretending. But I feel like anything a director do can do to invoke or evoke. Is it evoke or invoke? To inspire. I think it's evoke. To get that reaction out of the performer, the better that performance can be based on the reality of the set being around them. I think that's always going to be for the betterment of what we see on screen. Now obviously it does have long-term psychological effects on some actors. I mean, obviously we saw, like with Heath Ledger, he was unfortunately unable to really shake the character of the Joker, even for months after he had finished the film, where he had just horrific bouts of insomnia. I've never had insomnia for weeks on end, but I've had bouts of insomnia that have gone on for 3, 4 nights. And by the fourth, fifth day, you're starting to feel extremely ragged, and you're grumpy with everyone, and you know it's hard to form coherent speeches. You start to forget words. Uh, you sometimes have a difficult time placing where you're at. I can only imagine what it's like when you're, you know, 6 weeks in or 3 months in or whatever, and then on top of that, you're taking prescription medication to try to sleep and just try to find some measure of peace somewhere in all that noise. Um, Performers sometimes put themselves through the paces to get the best out of a performance, and I think with Andy Serkis, this is a guy we know because we've seen him do it not just with Smeagol and Gollum. If you've never seen the Planet of the Apes films with him, the motion capture stuff he's done and his performance as Caesar is riveting. Andy Serkis is an actor of the highest caliber, and no shade to Diego Luna because I love Diego Luna, but like I said, this took an already great show for me and made it into an epic show, and I'm just riveted now by everything. The end of this last episode. Never more than 12. I was just like, oh yeah, he's on board now. Anyway, love to hear your thoughts. Drop them down below. I hope you're watching this show with me and coming in for the reviews. I'll have one up tomorrow. Every Wednesday, we're reviewing Star Wars Andor. Every Thursday is House of the Dragon. I'm a little bit behind on that one, but getting caught up. I'm going to be doing Tales of the Jedi soon. We've got the upcoming Willow show. There's a upcoming Willow show soon. I'm doing a Willow watch party soon, so stay tuned for that because we're going to be doing that live here on YouTube, and all sorts of other stuff as it comes up, and of course the live streams for games and stuff. So, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, support in any way you can. Thanks to all of these people for helping keep this channel full time. Just on videos like this, do a super thanks. Join as a member. We have 3 different tiers. You can also do super chats on premieres and live streams. Don't forget the Patreon page if you want to find out more about what I'm building with my wife and my brother. It's that world map behind me. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Check it out. Until next time, everybody, may the force be with you.